everyone. Give me 5 minutes. Good morning, everyone. Am I morning? Sanjana, good morning. Rajshekhar, good morning. Do let me know if I'm audible. Fine. Try to do this 2023 March, and this is the question. With what is the name of the concept in which organization have a local employers abroad who do the jobs that the firm's domestic employees previously did in house? Onshoring, offshoring, inshoring, outsourcing. Yes. A concept in which organization have a local employers abroad who do the jobs that firms domestic employees previously did in the house. The answer for this is option number B. It's offshoring. Now, what do you mean by outsourcing and what is the offshoring? Outsourcing is when you take the services. You are the organization, you don't have any HR department, but you are taking the services. It means you are outsourcing. What is offshoring? Offshoring means you are the company and you have the vendors, okay, or you have the employers associated with your company. Earlier, few employees were working with you within the country. Now, this same employees are working abroad where the vendors are present. This is called as offshoring. Is this clear to everyone? Clear? Clear what is onshore, what is outsourcing, what is offshoring? This is the third time the question has been asked in the exam. So you need to know the difference. Next. Given below are the two statements. Job rotation is a kind of lateral transfer which allow the employees to work at different jobs. It provides good exposure to variety of tasks. Simulation exercises are learning tasks on the equipment that one actually will use on the job, but it is stimulated work environment. Statements. You have to answer which statements are true, which statements are false. Hmm. Yes, so both these statements are correct actually. Statement 2 is incorrect. Simulation exercises are learning the task on the same equipment that one actually will use on the job. So it's not same equipment. Okay. This is called as, when we say same equipment, it is related to your vestibule training. So vestibule, even in the vestibule training, the equipments are not same. They are replication of the equipment. Now, what is the difference between simulation and vestibule training? Both of them are the form of the training. Simulation is a kind of a training where stimulated situation, or you can say real life situation, is recreated, a kind of an virtual thing. So it's not using actual equipments, but it is a stimulated environment which is similar to real situation. Vestibule training is a training where they use the tools and equipment which they are going to actually use in the real life or real machine. Vestibule training is provided usually for technical, like engineers, your aircraft training, that is vestibule. Simulation training is usually provided for managerial levels, right? Skills, when you talk about skills like leadership, when you talk about communication skills, they can be trained in simulation technique. But vestibule training is all about technical skills like your driving, like your workshops are there. Usually the engineering students, where before they start working actually as an engineers, they take a hand-on experience when they are doing the workshop. So this is not actually the same equipment. So statement 2 is incorrect and statement 1 is correct, because it is the job rotation lateral. It's not vertical, but the lateral means rotation of the person at this same level. Different jobs, same level, to increase the you can say knowledge or the scope of the person related to the job. Is this clear to everyone? Okay, fine. So that is clear. Let's. So now, few things that you need to know is there are different types of the simulation training: behavioral modeling, business games, case studies, equipment simulator, in-basket technique, role plays. This we are going to study in detail in human resource management. Give me a second, just a second. Behavior modeling, business game, case studies, equipment simulation, in basket technique, role plays. They are number of the times repetitively being asked in exams, so you need to know. There have been a question. The question was, which of the following are the simulation technique of training? Clear? Sorry for the background disturbance. Let's move to the next question. Try to answer this. Which among the following are not the economic cause of labor migration? What is labor migration? Migration is movement of labor from one location to another. You have to identify which are not the economic causes. There can be economic, non-economic, social character, political reasons, or the causes which leads to the labor migration. We are going to study them in detail. Try to answer this question. I'm waiting for your replies in the comment section. Yes. Okay. So the question is, which among the following are not the economic cause of labor migration. As I said, what do you mean by migration? Movement of the labor from one location to another location is called as migration. Usually the movement of the labor take place because of number of economic reasons as well as non-economic reasons. What are economic reasons? We'll study them. What are non-economic reasons? We'll study. Before that, the correct answer here is option number D and E. So D is marriage, E is social discriminations. These are not economic reason but non-economic. Moreover, they are social cultural reasons for the migration. Better employment opportunities, higher wages, attraction of better facilities and infrastructure. These are the economic reasons. Now, economic reasons are directly associated with something which talks about monetary thing. So when an labor is moving from one location to another location for better employment opportunity, to have better earning, higher wages, better facilities in their life, better infrastructure they want to have in their living life, living standard. So these all are related to their economic reasons. So question is not. Okay. Now, there can be, so this is like migration means movement of the people from one geographical location to the other for permanent or partial permanent settlement. So it can be permanent, it can be temporary, or it can be partial permanent, in the sense maybe for 10 years, maybe for 20 years the person is going at that place and then coming back to the hometown. So this can be partial permanent settlement as well. Now, the important factors which can cause the migration are economic factor, demographic factor, socio-culture factor, political factor. What are economic factors? So, these are usually considered to be the voluntary migration or voluntary reasons. Why? Because they want better life, they want better opportunities, they are motivated to earn something better in their life. That's why it is considered to be a voluntary migration to have better standard of life. And economic factors, usually in developing countries, economic factor lead the movement of labor from one location to the another location. Like, now other than developing countries, low agricultural income, agricultural unemployment, underemployment are the major factor pushing the migrant towards areas for the great and better job opportunities. Even the pressure of population, so when there is less land, higher number of the people working, or if it is too populated, people start moving to different location. So pressure of population resulting in high man land ratio has been widely recognized as one of the important causes of poverty, rural out migration. The most important economic factors that motivate the migration may be termed as push factor, pull factor. Now there are two factors in the economic factors which leads to the migration. What is push factor? What is pull factor? Understand this way. This is the location, or this is the area which is less developed, underdeveloped, or low working opportunities, or poverty is there is no natural resources available to earn something, any kind of natural calamities have taken place. So for the better working opportunities, better life, people move to the new location. So these all factors which are actually making the people to move away from their local location to new location are called as push factor. In similar way, what are pull factor? So let's say this is one location where I am living. Everything is fine, but another location, it is having better infrastructure facilities, expansion, rapid expansion, rapid business growth, better living facility, better living standard. Like let's say there is an Indian, एक Indian है, अच्छी तरीके से लाइफ इंडिया में जी रहा है, अच्छी जॉब है आईटी सेक्टर में, earning very good, but for him A pull factor to move to overseas is that better living standard, no pollution, status. So this factor which pulls the employees to the different countries for better working condition, better salary, better amenities, this is called as the pull factor. So these are the economic factor. What are non-economic factor? Non-economic can be demographic, can be socio-culture, can be political. Political factors like this happens usually like when there is a partition, when there is a new state formation, when there are some legislation coming into the existence. What are socio-culture factor? When there is a family requirement, society or cultural, person get married, right? A person is moving to another better transportation, so something which is improving their society or cultural reasons, that is called as the social factor. What are political? I have already explained you. These are the economic and non-economic reasons for the labor migration. Is this clear? Now let's move to the next question. Try to answer this. Which among the following is not the effect of absenteeism on individual employee? So absenteeism means what and how it affects employee and employer. This question is specifically asking you what is the, if not on the individual. As an individual, I won't be affected by the absenteeism. Frequent absenteeism leads to loss in earning. Frequent absenteeism hampers career aspects. Industries suffer the loss. Affects organizations' efficiencies. Affects individual productivity. Very simple question. I'm waiting for your answers. Am I not audible? Answer for this is option number C. This is asking you which is not the effect of individual. This is individual, this is individual, this is individual. Industry suffers loss, affects the organizational effect efficiency. This is employer. Understand this. It's not D and E. So individual's productivity getting affected, individual career getting affected, individual earning getting affected. These are individual employee effect of absenteeism. What is absenteeism? Absence from the workplace. You're not coming up, you're not turning up, maybe because of any number of the reasons. So the question is asking not. When it is saying not the individual, means it is asking you what are organizational factors or organizational effects. Next question. Which among the following are not unavoidable causes of labor turnover? What is turnover here? Now, when we talk about labor turnover, turnover means decrease in number of the labor or the rate at which the labor leaves the organization is called labor turnover. Question is asking you not unavoidable causes, means which are avoidable causes of labor turnover. Answer. Resignation and dismissals, dissatisfaction with wage and salary, retirement and death, redundancy, dissatisfaction with the working environment. Choose the correct answer. Which of the following are avoidable? Since it is asking not unavoidable, means which are avoidable causes of labor turnover, which you can avoid as an employer. Okay. So the answer for this is option number A, B and E. Now these questions are very tricky questions, right? Whenever a labor is leaving an organization, there are number of the reasons. Few reasons can be avoidable, few reasons can be unavoidable. Avoidable means which can be controlled. if a person is not satisfied with the job, means he is not having the job satisfaction. There can be n number of the reasons why person is not satisfied. Maybe he may not getting the wages or salary on time, not proper salary, he may not be treated correctly by the colleague, or he may not be having proper job description or autonomy in his job. So there can be n number of the reasons in the environment which causes a person to be dissatisfied. This dissatisfaction from the working environment and wage and salary can be controlled. You can study the person's behavior, you can study the person's individual's personality, and accordingly plan the steps for him, the training for him, the environment for him, and you can avoid it. But resignation, dismissal, retirement, death, redundancy, these are something which cannot be avoided. Someone who is going to resign is going to resign. Someone have died, he have died. This is something which is uncertain. Death is uncertain. Retirement is fixed. So resignation is fixed. Dismissals are the you can say disciplinary actions which you are not going to avoid it, right? You are not going to stop it. You are anyways going to dismiss a person if he is involved into some indisciplinary action. So a detailed division. Let me first explain you avoidable and unavoidable causes of labor turnover. You have to by heart this upcoming exam. Again, there can be a question as avoidable, unavoidable, or other things related to it, which I'm going to teach you right now. So what are avoidable causes of labor turnover? Avoidable means this can be controlled, improved. You can hold your labor by removing all these reasons. Dissatisfaction for wages, working environment, job, dissatisfaction with personal policies, lack of medical, recreational other facilities, lack of transport facilities, dissatisfaction for the working hours. You can see all the factors which are related to dissatisfaction, related to working environment, are avoidable. However, which are unavoidable, personal betterment. I want to improve, I want to change because I want to look forward for better opportunity. So if the person is very much adamant that no, I want to change, you cannot ask him to stay. Family circumstances, family requirement says a person have to move to different location. Climatic, a person is not able to survive in that climate. Community, there can be n number of the community reasons. Physical reasons, marriages, retirement and death, migratory nature, dismissal and discharge, redundancy. So these all are avoidable and unavoidable causes of the labor turnover. Now moving back to the basic, what do you mean by labor turnover? As I said, when we talk about specifically labor turnover, it is the rate at which the people are moving out of the given organization for the given period of the time. When we hear the word turnover, usually we feel it is about profit. No, when it will be coming to labor turnover, it is something which is decreasing the rate, decreasing the number. When we come to business, turnover means yearly profit a person is or the business is earning. So labor turnover refers to rate of exchange in the working staff or enterprise during a given period of time. Now, it can be also measured. How it can be? It is a measurement to the extent to which old employees leave and new employees enter into the service of an organization for a specific time. So you study the labor turnover for the given period, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and so on. Labor are the employees who are not satisfied with the career in the present organization may seek suitable employment in other. Labor turnover may result into movement, shifting, migration, workers from one unit to another, one industry to another. This is a definition which I have already explained you. How? Now this is the upcoming question or expected question which can be asked. Now there are two basic terms associated with the labor turnover: accession rate and suppression rate. What do you mean by suppression rate? Number of the employees working in organizations remain same. Okay, so now this is first explaining. Let's first understand what do you mean by suppression rate. Suppression rate is at the rate at which people get separated from the organization. So I was having 700 people. out of which 70 or 80 people resigned or got replaced or due to discharge, dismiss. So when you multiply it by 100, you will get a certain percentage. This is called as the separation rate. So it is implied severance of employment at the instance of employee's worker or employer by quit, discharge, retirement, death, replacement, one accession plus separation एंड एवरेज वर्क फोर्स. आई विल सिंपली, मैं इसको सिंपल लैंग्वेज में आपको एक्सप्लेन करूंगी. सेपरेशन रेट का मतलब होता है एक किसी भी गिवन पीरियड ऑफ द टाइम में जितने आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एवरेज नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज हैं उस ईयर में कितने छोड़ के गए, आप उससे कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो आपको सेपरेशन रेट मिल जाएगा. दूसरा है एक्सेशन रेट. व्हाट इज एक्सेशन रेट? दिस इज एक्सेस, एडिंग. सो व्हेन in a given year the number of the workers who are added to your organization is accession. अब accession rate में से when you are having accession rate, you are having average number and you have to identify the separation rate. So by the formula, accession, one accession plus separation and average of workforce. So one who has been added plus one who is being separated, then average of the total number working divided by 2. This is how the separation rate can be calculated if you are calculating through accession and separation. Now that is not that important. I have just explained you for the information. What you need to know is what is accession rate, what is separation rate. Now if in any case organize a number of employees in an organization remains same, last year also, this year also, if it is same, 100 people were working, now also 100 people working, it means somewhere your separation rate is equal to accession rate. Means the number of the people left the organization, the same number of the people were hired. However, if the increase, if there are number of people increasing in organization, accession rate would be high, separation rate would be low. And if the employment is decreasing, separation would be high, accession would be low. This is very logical. Now, labor turnover. Causes of labor turnover: employee related causes, employer related causes. In this exam, particularly 2023 March, there was a question related to avoidable and unavoidable. Upcoming exam, there can be the question that which of the following are the causes of labor turnover related to employee, or it can be which of the following are the causes of the labor turnover related to employer. So in employee also, controllable or avoidable, uncontrollable or avoidable. Efficiency, laziness, lack of interest in work, low wages, insubordination, desire for job near home, these are avoidable. Unavoidable: retirement, death, ill health, accident. Employer related: lack of manpower, planning, poor promotion policy, poor working condition, unfair supervision, these are avoidable. Unavoidable: seasonal business, it's season, you cannot change it. Business is as per the season. Surplus: you are having excess of number of the people. What you would do with the excess number of the people? So you have to remove them. Problem of mechanization: machines are not working, you don't have proper production, there is natural calamity, there is lower down in the production. So these are unavoidable circumstances for the employer. Now, effects of the labor turnover. This can be also asked in exam, that what are the evil effects of the labor turnover on the workers and on the employer. Loss of earning, loss of promotional opportunity, new environment, loss of skills relating to job, that is your efficiency is lost, trade union growth is affected. Employer: high cost of recruitment, training will increase, training cost, loss of production, overtime cost, because your people are leaving to somewhere, you have to match your production, for that you would be given extra money, overtime. Excess depreciation of machinery, market reputation suffers. So if you have large or rate of separation is high, it is always questioned in the market, are not, why your employees are not satisfied, why they keep on leaving your organization, right? So this is complete labor turnover, its causes, effects. What are the different measures which can control this labor turnover? By improving your recruitment practices, use for the proper test and interviews. When you are actually doing the selection, whilst doing the selection only, use those tests which are valid, which will help you to find out the employees who are seriously interested to do the work, not those who are not productive, those who are not able or not interested, those who won't be being with the organization for the longer period of the time. Impartial promotion and transfer, have those transparency. Educate training is important to improve the employee skills, make them competitively growing. Security service, any person leaving the organization, security is the main reason. Provide them security. Provision of retirement benefits, improve channels of communication, reasonable amenities and welfare measure, introduction of safety wage plans, setting up grievances and redressal. So these are the measures how you can control the labor turnover. So this is complete labor turnover topic. Everything I have taught here, anything can be asked in coming exam related to labor turnover. Moving to next question. Again important. Which of the following are types of human capital? Sandy, redundancy is when an employer don't require that person. There is ample of the things. So redundancy is when you are having the people and you don't need them. Their skills are not no more required in organization. That is redundancy. Okay. Okay. Question is asking you which of the following are types of the human capital. Okay. Let's understand first what is human capital. Human capital means the skills, knowledge, experience, age, competencies which are holded by or which are present within the organization. So the human resources, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, they possess the experience, their skills, their knowledge is called as human capital. There are four types of human capital: emotional, spiritual, social, and knowledge. Let's understand this little bit in detail. So the term human capital, it means the capital consists of knowledge, skills, abilities of people employed in an organization. This is also called as daily variables. Now, who has elaborated the human capital or originated the term human capital? It was Sutlej in 1961 who actually gave a elaboration for this term. He said, all human abilities to be either innate or acquired, attributes which are valuable and can be augmented by appropriate investment will be human capital. Those skills, those abilities which I am holding, and this abilities, this knowledge which is useful for organization, which can be used for the organization to earn the profit by investing them, they are the human capital. Now there are different authors who have defined human capital, like you have Beer et al, you have Bontis E et al. You can just go through it by yourself. Now, characteristic, what are the characteristic? It is human, living thing. It is non-standardized. Why? You cannot have A, B, C, D, everyone to have non-standardized. Take it means it cannot be transferred easily. Something, if I'm having the emotional intelligence, it is within me. I cannot transfer it to another. I cannot teach something which is within me easily. So it is take it, dynamic, changing, context dependent. What is context? Context here means environment. My skills, my knowledge also depend upon the environment where I am, context I am. So let's say if I am having an expertise into HR, I would be able to perform my work very nicely. So my knowledge, skills and abilities related to HR is very high. Whereas in different contexts, let's say marketing, though I must have studied it in my school life, but I have not expertise into it. So there my knowledge and the skills abilities would be low, right? And they are embodied in the people. Why? It is within me. You cannot say आज मैं थक गई हूँ, let keep my, मैं अपने कैपिटल को निकाल के बाहर रखती हूँ, नॉलेज स्किल्स को एबिलिटीज को बाहर निकाल के रखती हूँ, कल फिर से ऑफिस जाऊंगी तो फिर से पहन लूंगी. So that is not. It is embodied. It is within the people. Now there are the 4 types of the human capital: intellectual capital, social capital, emotional capital, spiritual capital. Intellectual, you can call it as knowledge capital also. Intellectual means your skills, your cognitive thinking, your learning capacity, your expertise, your specialized knowledge, your knowledge related to your IQ, information. So everything which is intellectual, related to your mind, related to your cognitivity, is called as intellectual capital. Social capital, it is the second and very important element of the human capital. It is something which is related to interpersonal relationship, means how an individual deal with the people around him, internally, externally, within the organization, outside the organization. Now this social capital is affected by number of the organizational factor like structure, quality, flexibility. It is directly related to something which is called as the human network within the department, within the function, within the organization, outside the organization. It is something, how do you understand culture? How do you build the relationship between external factors like customer, supplier, government agencies, and so on. So it's all about building up the relationship. Emotional efficacy. I believe I would be able to do something. I believe I am confident enough. So something which is related to self-confidence, ambition, courage, risk-taking ability, resilience. This is also sometimes called as emotional quotient. So a spirit which says I can do it. Emotionally strong. Being emotionally strong means I have a great self-esteem, self-confidence. I'm courageous. I have those you can say a zeal, a power, a drive, that thirst to do something which I can get converted into action. This is called as emotional capital. Internal emotional capital is within myself. External emotional capital, which comes from external environment, like I feel proud of my organization. People trust me because they feel I am responsible. I am open to learn something, means I am ready to accept the risk, ready to change myself, right? So now this emotional thing also have a negative part also, like anger, hatred, frustration, confusion, sadness. This needs to be complete controlled. And how it can be controlled? When you have a very positive behavior, right? Then comes your spiritual. This is you can say an extension of emotional, your intelligent quotient, your intellectual capital, and emotional capital. This together, IQ and emotional, means you're using your mind as well, plus you are able to control your emotions as well. This gives you spiritual, means आप spiritually develop हो गए. There is nothing which can come between you. So this is called as this is something where you are keeping your ego aside, you value something, right? You are multi-direction, you understand all direction. If there is something given to you, you will understand it's positive as well as negative. It's short-term perspective as well as long-term perspective. It's it's non-value thing. That is your spiritual capital. So these are the 4 important capital or types of the human capital. Next question. Which of the following are not the indirect cost of industrial accident? It means what are direct causes of industrial accident? Questions are very interesting. I'm giving you the detailed explanation for all those questions for which they can be asked in exam. So this industrial accident, from last 4-5 exams, there has been a repetitive question from this. Which of the following are reasons for industrial accident? Which of the following are direct cause for industrial accident? Which of the following are human factor? This type of questions are asked, and it is repeating since last 4-5 years, 4-5 exams. Question is asking you not the indirect, means direct cause, डायरेक्ट विच इज विजिबल, यानी एक्सीडेंट हुआ तो ये खर्चे तो आएंगे ही. फाइन. सो आंसर फॉर दिस इज ऑप्शन डी एंड ई. पेपर वर्क, लीगल इश्यूज होगा ही, पेपर वर्क होगा ना, एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, कंपनसेशन, लीगल इश्यूज लाइक बड़ा कंपनसेशन के लिए पेपर वर्क होगा. लीगल एक्शन, अगर कंपनसेट नहीं किया तो आपके अगेंस्ट लीगल एक्शन लिया जाएगा. सो दीज आर द डायरेक्ट. इनडायरेक्ट विच इज नॉट विजिबल, कोई ये नहीं देखता कि इक्विपमेंट खराब हो गया, पहले लोग आदमी को देखते हैं उसको कितनी चोट लगी. डैमेज टू द टूल्स एंड इक्विपमेंट आर सीन सेकेंडरी. लॉस ऑफ अर्निंग पावर, a person who is facing an accident somewhere will lose his earning power. Also organization will lose the earning power because for the time period he won't be available. Time loss from the work injured by, there is always a time lost. If the person is having an accident, he would be on leave, so there would be time lost. Other people would be involved. Accident ho jata to sab apni jagah nahi baithe rehte, jaake पूछते, so other people also getting involved into it, that is the time lost. So direct and indirect cost. A tripartite technical conference organized by ILO in 1948 formulated a model code of safety regulation for industrial establishment for the guidance of government and industry. According to it, what are the direct costs? Medical treatment, medicine, therapy, legal issue, paperwork, equipment. These are direct. What are indirect? Training replacement, employees overtime, loss of productivity, and absenteeism. Indirect costs are more expensive. Reason? Because something which is uninsured, this indirect costs were not planned. You have not planned for it. It was unpredicted, unplanned, uninsured. So usually they come out to be very expensive. Indirect costs are usually greater than the direct cost. NSC has listed some indirect or uninsured. So these all are indirect costs. Loss of production time, productive loss by injured person, productive time loss by employees and supervisor, cleanup and startup of operation, time to hire or train a worker to replace injured worker until they return to work, property damage, cost of continuing, reduce morale among your employees, perhaps lower efficiency, cost of completing the paperwork generated by accident, OSHA penalty, or occupational safety health and accident penalties. You are supposed to give the penalties also. Clear? Fine. The last question for the day. Which of the following is not welfare amenities within the presence of establishment? Not. So प्रेसेंस बोला है तो इंट्रा नहीं है, यानी एक्स्ट्रा. Yes, your maternity benefit and your benevolent fund, they all are extra. Intra nahi hai. Presence means within the wall. Latrine, urinal within the walls, crutches, presence, health facility, presence, maternity, benevolent, they are given extra outside the presence, right? So these were the questions I gave you. We did few questions only, but I gave you the detailed explanation for it, right? We have a class at 11, organizational behavior class. So we will be continuing the rest topic in the rest class. Thank you so much.